Welcome back to Ernstrom Spinal Rehab. This is Dr. Ed Ernstrom. It's intermittent fasting in St. Louis or hashtag IF and STL. Well, thank you for coming back. It is Tuesday, like always, where the topic of intermittent fasting is on top of my mind. And if you haven't already, hit the like button down below, notification bell, subscribe to this YouTube station, or if you're watching this on any other platform besides YouTube, like Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, then make sure you follow us back to YouTube so that you can then check this out and get those notifications and anytime I bring up new content. Okay. So previous weeks, we've talked about insulin resistance. We've talked about the frequency of eating that people are typically doing nowadays and how we need to go back and reverse that. We need to then also find out how we use energy when we are fasting and where do we get blood sugar from and how do we not fall over and pass out. That was last week's video. So as we are getting into this, today I am going to be getting into my guidelines. I don't want to call them rules. I want to call these guidelines because rules people think are meant to be broken and guidelines are actually supposed to be followed. Okay. And these guidelines are going to help us stay on track and also not set you up for emotional and physical failure. Okay? Because a lot of times people will be doing some things that they think are still fasting and they end up, the whole purpose and concept of fasting is to get your insulin back to baseline. If your insulin is elevated in the middle of a fast because of some habit that you're doing, then you're working against the fast and then you might as well go ahead and eat, okay? Because you're not fasting anymore. So let's get into these guidelines here. So the first one, number one, is plan your fast around your life, not your life around your fast. So what does that even mean? To plan your fast around your life, not your life around your fast. So you're going to have opportunities where eating is actually going to be socially acceptable and socially prudent that you eat at that moment in time of your life. What kind of opportunities are these? Well, there's holidays. There's days of celebration like birthdays and anniversaries. There is work events, church events, things that are anticipated and scheduled and cyclical, okay? So with those things and those opportunities, I know in my life, there's, we have a traditional Christmas breakfast, Thanksgiving. I typically have done in the past 5-6 years, I've helped out with providing a water table for our local city's 5K run. And I have volunteers that come with me and it's cold outside. So I bring hot chocolate and I bring some other treats for people to eat, and you know what? It's okay. And also, there's just birthdays in my household. We have a special breakfast that we do as well, and I want you guys to know that that's okay. So, plan your fast around your life, not your life around your fast. So, all of a sudden you think, oh, I'm going to plan to do this 7-day fast, or I'm going to do this 36-hour fast. And you're like, wait a second, that's going to dip into one of these events. And what am I supposed to do? Choose my fast over my life or choose my life over my fast? You can have two thoughts in your head at once and still be a healthy, sane person. You can still break your fast and eat with everyone else at that event or that opportunity. And then because for me, I just plan my fast if I'm going to break my fast unscheduled or in an opportunity that I know that it's a day that I'm not going to be fasting as long as I would be on other days. As soon as I eat dinner, that's minute zero, just like in last week's video where I'm in my absorptive phase, then I get into my post-absorptive phase, and then I'm just getting into that more ketotic or ketosis gluconeogenesis moment where I'm just starting back into my fast. And that's okay. You can do this. Take one day at a time. It's all right. Okay. Now, number two is probably more important for the health of your while you're fasting is to stay hydrated. Now, staying hydrated plus salts and minerals. Okay, because as you fast, And as you are dumping inflammation and you're dumping, and you don't have as much sugar in your blood, so you're not going to be, your kidneys aren't going to be holding on to as much sugar and also as much sodium. So you're going to be dumping a lot of sodium. And if all you're drinking is just straight water, that dilutes out the salts in your blood and in your cells, and so you're going to be end up diluting those, and it's going to be a bad situation. There's something called hypokalemia and hyponatremia. So too low potassium and too low sodium, you need to supplement those with either some pink Himalayan salt or some ancient sea salts that you can put into your drinking water. Also, you can get a supplement for potassium as well that you can mix into your water, but make sure that these are things that are not going to stimulate your insulin. So the sweeteners, you can't have the artificial sweeteners. There's only a couple artificial sweeteners that are supposedly still haven't been proven to spike your insulin, like stevia or monk fruit. Now, what else can you drink besides water while you're in a fasted state to stay hydrated? Now, some of you may say, well, these things are going to dehydrate you anyways, but I guess there's still beverages that don't have an insulin response, okay? So one is going to be black coffee, black tea, green tea, and some herbal teas, and then also soda or mineral waters, okay? So the reason why it has to be straight and black is because any amount of the creamers that you put in there or the sweeteners have have a potential of still stimulating your insulin, and insulin sensitive lipase will then be turning off your lipase, and that means that you will not be breaking down fat, and you're just going to be regulated back to only using sugars for energy. Okay, so make sure that you stay hydrated, but you're also not sabotaging yourself by drinking things that spike your insulin. Okay, and keep those minerals up, and that'll help you keep the keto flu away. All right, number 3, stay busy. Stay busy while fasting, because hunger is a hormone responsible by this hormone called ghrelin, and ghrelin spikes and is controlled by your brain, not your stomach. And as you are overcoming those ghrelin spikes, it takes time to endure through that wave of ghrelin, but then eventually it goes away. And if you probably had that opportunity where you didn't eat breakfast before you got to work because you had to get to work so fast that you had this huge project that you needed to work on, or school, and you worked so hard through it that you forgot to eat breakfast, and then you're still working, it's a big project, and it's lunchtime, and you're like, no, I don't even have time to eat, I just got to just plow through this. You're hungry, you're starving, but your project and your mentality and your psyche is more thinking about what you're doing than about the food you didn't eat. And you get to the end of the project, and it's somewhere between when you would normally eat lunch and dinner time, and you'd think that you'd be starving, and you just realize, you know what, I don't even feel hungry, I don't even remember not eating, type of thing. And that happens a lot to people that don't typically fast but end up putting themselves in an unintentional fast. Okay, stay busy while you're trying to do even the longer fast, especially, okay? If you're trying to go to 18, 19, 20, 24 hours fasted, or 36 to 48 hours fasted, stay busy during those normal times you would have eaten, okay? And as you're staying busier during that time, the ghrelin will then be overcome, all right? Number 4, exercise in the fasted state. This is for some people controversial. I don't know why. There's always that stigma that if you are at the gym and they say that you're low blood sugar and you end up getting very faint and passing out because maybe you are somebody that has an eating disorder and hasn't eaten in like 4 or 5 days, but also not supplementing electrolytes on top of that, or don't eat fat because fat makes you fat. Fat doesn't make you fat, okay? Eating the sugars and salts and stuff. Yes, you need to retain water inside you. You can't just keep sweating it out thinking that that's going to make you look better in your physique, okay? Staying well hydrated, staying with electrolytes while in the fasted state, you can exercise. Why? Because your energy levels are not predicated based off of the sugar that you just ate or the protein shake that you would have drinking. It's based off of your current stores of energy that's already in your muscles. Okay. And then also what you're going to do, like I talked about in my video from last week, is that as you're in a fasted state, you can actually slide that energy partitioning up sooner so that you can get into gluconeogenesis faster, because your glycogen stores are being depleted faster, so that you can actually get to your fat stores when you're not exercising faster. Okay, so this is going to be huge, that exercising in the fasted state is a hack if you are trying to do this for losing weight and also becoming more insulin sensitive. You need to exercise in the fasted state. Now, you need to be smart and you need to recover well, and not just push yourself so hard so fast that you do end up passing out and hitting a wall, because your energy is your heart rate is faster than you are recovering energy to do. You need to exercise smart. Okay, so don't overthink it, but you can exercise in the fasted state. You just need to recover well. Okay, and stay hydrated with electrolytes. Okay, I don't know if I can say that enough. All right, number five, variation, variability, and variety. Okay, fasting, the same routine every day, every week, every month, every year is going to lead to adaptations. Now, I've talked to this ad nauseum to many people about how if you want a specific adaptation, you need to impose a demand. However, once you've imposed that same demand, your body will make that specific adaptation to it. Now, if you want to keep your body guessing, you don't want to keep imposing the exact same demand all the time. So that's why it's important to change things up, change the length of your fast, change how frequently you're fasting, change the type of fast that you do, change the timing of it. Maybe it's not fasting for breakfast and lunch. Maybe you're eating breakfast, but you're not eating lunch and dinner. Maybe you're doing 12 hours one day, maybe you're doing 16 another day, and maybe you're doing OMAD the next, which is 1 meal a day. So make sure that you constantly switch it up, but don't make it so complicated that you can't remember what you're supposed to do tomorrow. Okay. What I did initially for the first couple months that I was doing this, once I started getting to a point where I was fasting 5 to 7 days a week, now I do it almost daily. But I still try to adhere to this to where like today I had lunch. Yesterday I didn't. Tomorrow I probably won't have lunch. But the day after that, I don't know. I may or may not have lunch, but probably not. But then this weekend, I'm going to be eating lunch. Heck, I'm making chili. I'm going to be tasting my chili while I'm cooking it. So maybe that's a day that I don't fast. It's okay. It's okay not to fast. But while we are doing this here, I want you to know that variation, variability, and variety of your fasting types is going to be crucial and important. And sometimes you may even have to go deeper and longer to create that variation, variability, and variety. All right, number six, calories do matter. Okay, so if calories matter, we need to make sure that when we are finally eating, that we're not overeating, but we're not undereating. Okay, we need to make sure that we are getting into enough energy into our system while we do eat. So if you are going to pull those longer fasts, you need to then accumulate a lot of calories in that first meal. Okay, so or if you're going to eat twice that day, you don't have to eat so bulky that first meal and then a lot the next one, or maybe you could eat bulky the first one and not as much the next one, or you split it up in between and partitioning it. Just make sure that you're getting enough calories for your lean mass. Okay, so with your lean mass, what does that mean? I weigh about 200 pounds. My lean mass is about 170. Okay, so which means that I need to eat enough calories to sustain my lean mass and enough protein for my lean mass. So that way I don't lose my lean muscle mass from what people call the starvation mode. Okay. So calories do matter, but if you eat too much, you can actually put on weight while still fasting. Okay. So just know that, but if you eat too little, you're going to crash your metabolism in certain ways. But another video, we're going to talk about actually how well you are fasting. There are potentials to not actually lose your metabolism. Okay. Different video, another day, another time. Okay, but calories do matter. Okay. Number 7, don't tell everyone at first that you're fasting, and don't tell everyone every day that you're fasting. It's like somebody once asked me, like, how do you know if a marathoner and a vegan walk into a bar? They tell you. Okay. Just because you're intermittent fasting, you don't need to tell everybody that you're fasting. They don't know. They don't assume. You should just be the normal you and acting normal around them, right? And also, if you are new to this and you're not adapted to being strong in your fasting, and you tell this to somebody and they don't know that you've had some weight loss already, or they're just a very concerned individual, they are programmed just like you were programmed and I was programmed to think that if you don't eat, you are going to do something called starvation mode and you're just going to end up wasting away your lean muscle mass and your organs and you're going to die. That only happens when your total body fat content is so low. That's when that happens. But in the meantime, this is perfectly safe. It's controlled, it's scheduled, and it's not an eating disorder. Okay, they may think that they know that what's best for you, but in the long run, they're just going to end up trying to sabotage what you know and what I know is best for you. Okay, so but you do need to have some support systems. You do need to bounce these ideas off of your most trusted confidants, but they also need to know why you're doing this, and this is for your health, and that this is so that you can overcome your sicknesses like insulin resistance, diabetes, central adiposity, hypertension, and etc. Okay. All right. Number 8, control insulin. Okay. So when you do eat, whatever you're used to eating as far as your total carbohydrate right now, before you even started the habit of fasting, you need to cut that in half. Just cut it right in half. Okay. So as you're doing that, you're going to be able to then benefit from not having as high or as much insulin, so that when you're done eating, that you can overcome that insulin and get insulin down faster when you're getting into your next fast. Okay, so whether it's paleo, keto, very high fat, very low carbohydrate, carnivore, glycemic index choices, whatever you're trying to do that's low glycemic and low insulin, make sure that's the way you're eating for the greatest bang for your buck if you're going to be doing intermittent fasting. Now, I'm not saying you're never going to have a cake or a slice of pizza or a cookie or a soda ever again. I'll freely admit that I do carnivore-ish most of my entire week, but on the weekends, if there's an opportunity that we don't have enough time to cook or something like that, I'm going to first try to adapt to a meal that is lower carb. But if it's not where we're going, because that's not where my family wants to eat, I will concede and I'll still eat something. Like I had pizza the other night. That's okay. Guess what I'm having tonight? I'm having tilapia with coconut oil and lime juice and garlic and salt and pepper. Last night I had brats. No bun, dipped in mustard and hot sauce with just a tablespoon of barbecue sauce. It's okay. It's low carb. Okay. Yes. Anyway, so just know that you need to control your insulin. That's number 8. Number 9, you need to be flexible. Okay. Again, there may be something that may pop up that you didn't anticipate at work, or that you forgot and didn't put in your calendar and didn't schedule it, and you're like, oh crap, everybody else is going to be eating, I'm not going to be eating. Or maybe you get invited somewhere in the middle of this and it's somebody you haven't seen in a long time and they want to go out to dinner with you. It's okay. Or maybe, like for me, my son plays baseball and all of a sudden I'm trying to do this long fast, or trying to eat better, but he did so well that night, we're going to celebrate and then go get him an ice cream. Okay, am I going to not eat the ice cream with everybody else that I'm paying for? No, I'm going to eat the ice cream. Okay, but you also need to know that you need to be flexible and know that you can flex in and out of fasting, but you always need to default back to fasting. Okay, and number 10, you need to have a healthy relationship with food. Okay. Intermittent fasting and food choices are exclusive from compulsions and mental disorders. Okay. When I say that, I mean that there are people out there that associate eating pork with the word pig, and when you think of the word pig, you think of fat, and when you think of fat, you don't want fat on your body. So it's these unhealthy relationships, right? Eating the fat of the pig or eating the fat on the beef, and a lot of times we've been told and we taught and trained that we need to cut that off because that's going to kill us and that's gross. Just chewing on that, just like people have these unrealistic gag reflexes towards these things, and that there's no reason for it other than it's been psychologically trained and classically trained into their brains to think that that's bad, and when it's not, right? I know that I should probably be introducing organ meats like liver into my diet, but I haven't yet. Why? Because I'm emotionally still averted to them, but intellectually I agree with the idea of it, but I just, I still have this mental and emotional hang up still with it. Also, fasting cannot be a compulsion, okay? Fasting is not an eating disorder. Just like OCD and washing your hands. If you wash your hands multiple times because you're OCD, but you wash your hands and you're not OCD, because, yeah, just because you're skipping meals doesn't make you an anorexic, okay? Skipping meals on a scheduled basis and knowing that you're going to eat and have a healthy relationship and choose good foods on the back end of that, that's not anorexia. Eating your food and not purging the food afterwards is not binge and purge bulimia, okay? You are going to eat that and you're going to absorb it and you're going to use that for energy. That's okay. So these are my guidelines. Plan your fast around your life. Stay hydrated with salts and minerals and with approved beverages. Stay busy. Exercise in a fasted state. Variation, variability, and variety. Calories do matter. Don't tell everyone at first. Control insulin. Make better choices, low carb. Be flexible, and also have a healthy relationship with food. All right, again, these intermittent fasting videos are probably going to just be my longest ones that probably won't make it to Instagram. It is what it is. There's just so much information and content that I want you guys to know and hear about. At first, maybe as we get past this, we'll make some shorter videos and a little bit shorter chunks, okay? All right, anyways, let's sign off now. Like, hit subscribe if you've liked the content to this YouTube station. Also, if you are watching this on Instagram or Facebook and you're still watching, thanks. Give it a thumbs up, like, comment, tag somebody that you think might need this information. Also, if you want that chili recipe, make a comment below. It's a great chili. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.